Chapter 3521. Charlie's words caused Joseph's expression to instantly flinch. Immediately afterwards, he clenched his teeth and said in a cold voice, "Charlie, who gave you the guts? How dare you disrespect the spirits of my parents in heaven?" Quote. Charlie sneered, "I didn't expect that the so-called supreme commander of the cataclysmic front was nothing more than a double-labeled dog." Quote. After saying that, Charlie said, "You are the one who has been yelling and wanting to bury my parents' bones, allowing you to disrespect my parents' spirit in heaven, but not allowing me to return the favor by doing the same to others." Quote. "Why, are you FCU king tougher than me? Or are you better than me?" Quote. Joseph was at a loss as to how to reply. He knew that he had brought up the matter of bruising the bones first. But at that time, he really did not expect that the Wade family would have such top experts. He also thought that he was in a complete crushing position against the Wade family. Now, this situation could only be described as lifting a stone and smashing his own feet. Seeing that he didn't know how to reply for a while, Charlie sneered, then kicked Harmon, who was kneeling on the ground, and said indifferently, You come to judge, if I raise the ashes of your Supreme Commander's parents, is he to blame?" Quote. Harmon did not dare to disobey Charlie, but also felt that his fate today is all thanks to Joseph, so he did not think twice and said, "He is to blame. If he did not have to cause these things, I would not have ended up in such a situation." Charlie looked at Joseph and asked him, "Did you hear that? Even your men are saying that you are to blame." Quote. Joseph said with a black face and gritted teeth, "Charlie, if you insult my parents again, I will fight you to the death today. Although you are very strong, but I am not a vegetarian either." Quote. Charlie coldly snorted disdainfully and said, "Joseph, you are not qualified to fight me to the death. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance. Leave your parents' coffins and I will let you all go, otherwise, one of you will have to die today." Quote. Joseph only felt the blood surge up, gritted his teeth and roared, "A man can be killed but not humiliated. Even if I die, I will never let you humiliate my parents." Quote. Charlie nodded and said indifferently, "Then I can wait until you die before I insult you. Anyway, the result is the same. By the way, I tell you, I am the most vindictive person. How others want to treat me, I will pay back, even double." Quote. "If I'm in a bad mood, after I kill you, I'll bury you and your parents together." Quote. At these words, a blond white man next to him said, "Supreme Commander, I've put up with him for a long time. Let's go together and kill him first. If not, let's fight with him." Quote. At this moment, it was the Golden Hair Lion King, one of the 4 commanders of the Cataclysmic Front. As soon as his words came out, many of the members of the front who had been repressing immediately spoke out in agreement. Many of them had received favors from Joseph, and were even Joseph's disciples. Seeing Charlie humiliate him like this, they naturally could not accept it. Charlie's face was indifferent at this time, his toes casually kicked lightly on the ground, a stone was wrapped with powerful aura and quickly flew out at an extremely fast speed. The next thing you know, the stone directly smashed the forehead of the golden-haired Lion King, making a bloody hole through front and back. In just an instant, the golden-furred Lion King, one of the 4 battle commanders of the Cataclysmic Front, died on the spot. Chapter 3522. Who would have thought that Charlie would suddenly strike with a deadly blow? No one could have imagined that. The Golden Lion King, who was a 6-star martial artist like Harmon, was struck through the brain by a stone kicked by his opponent. With this, those soldiers of the Cataclysmic Front who wanted to swarm and fight against Charlie subconsciously took a few steps back. At the same time, the impulse to fight with Charlie in their hearts was also stunned in an instant by Charlie's hand just now. The gang was horrified in their hearts. They knew that since Charlie could kill the Golden Hair Lion King with a flip of his hand, then he could also kill any of them with the same method. Joseph also completely froze. At this moment, he finally realized what was the gap between himself and Charlie. He knew that if Charlie made a move, he would probably not be able to survive a single move in his hands. At this moment, Charlie, who had just killed one of them, looked at Harmon with a chagrined face and sighed. Hey, impulsive, I just said that I would be the first to kill you first today, but I didn't expect that I wouldn't be able to hold back for a while and let someone else steal your first position. You won't blame me, right? Quote. Harmon was frightened out of his mind and said offhandedly, no, absolutely no. Charlie nodded, turned to look at the gang of Cataclysmic Front, each member of which was full of horror, said indifferently, anyone who is not afraid of death can take the initiative to come forward. I have long been ready to kill in front of my parents' spirit today. Even if you all kill, Charlie, will never blink. Quote. The killing intent in Charlie's tone made the hearts of the gang of Cataclysmic Front subconsciously surge in a panic. At this time, Charlie toe hit the ground and a pebble bounced up. He grabbed the pebble, while playing with it in his hand, and while looking at the nearly 100 Dragon Hall soldiers, he said indifferently, today is my personal grudge with the Joseph, and you people have nothing to do with it, so, all of you must now step back. If not going back, death is your destiny. Quote. These people immediately panicked. The crowd looked at each other, for a time do not know whether to stand still, or take a step back. After all, if they really took a step back at this time, it would also signify that they were completely clear of the camp with Joseph. But among these people, many of them have deep feelings with Joseph. Really let them stand in line at this time, they also cannot bear it. So, some of them immediately took a step back, but still nearly half of them chose to stand still. And this group of people who stood still also had a fluke in mind. Charlie only had a stone in his hand, and those who stood still, there were dozens of people. Could he kill everyone with a stone? Charlie saw this and smiled faintly. In this regard, he was not surprised. Then, he looked at a black man among these people and opened his mouth to ask him, I heard that there is still a black-faced Panther King in the Cataclysmic Front. If I guessed correctly, it should be you, right? Quote. That black man panicked a little at once and subconsciously said, yes, it's me. Charlie nodded and said blandly, among the 4 battle commanders of your Cataclysmic Front, now you are the only one left intact, and you are still standing still. It seems that you also want to be my enemy. Quote. The black-faced Panther King was in a panic, and when he thought of the golden hair Lion King being pierced through the brain by a stone by Charlie just now, he subconsciously took a step back and waved his hands repeatedly. Mr. Wade, you misunderstood. I don't want to oppose you, I'll take a step back. Charlie shook his head and said indifferently, it's late. Quote. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel Salvament Family for new updates. Thank you very much. Keep safe everyone.